Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon,
Morning.
everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. We invited some of our partners in the UK. So I just want to make sure that my greeting is correct. So I'm saying good morning and good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to our Stress Management and Resiliency webinar. My name is Carol Narciso, and I'm the Director for Business Alliance of Assessment Analytics. So just to briefly introduce to you our company, especially those who are joining us for the first time, we are the authorized distributor. We are an authorized distributor of the SHL Talent Measurement Solutions in the Philippines. That's why I said these talent management or talent measurement solutions are actually from the UK. And we are an authorized distributor of that. And using these products and services, we want to be able to empower individuals as well as organizations to realize their full potential so that they will be able to achieve their purpose as an organization or their purpose as an individual. And by doing that, we hope that we can be the top of mind partner of organizations as well as individuals for their talent management solutions or talent management needs. This is a list of the solutions that we are offering. So we have online assessment solutions that organizations use for talent acquisition, to talent mobility or talent development. We have assessments for that allows them to rate each other, a multi-rater feedback system. We have assessments for high potential and other online assessment. We provide them also with online assessment platforms for competency assessment. Aside from our solutions or products, we also offer services related to HR management, like designing or redesigning competencies. We also have assessment and development center. We also offer training programs and customized trainings just like this. And most recently, we have been focusing on programs, webinars related to mental health. I won't make this long. So just a few house rules before we officially start. This session is being recorded. You're all here because you have allowed us to record, and you said that you're willing to stay even if this is recorded. Although you are all muted, we encourage you to still participate by utilizing the chat box if you have any questions or clarification at any point during the discussion. Your questions will be answered later on by our guest speaker during the Q&A portion. This afternoon, we are happy and honored that we are privileged that we have not just one, but two distinguished professionals in the field of mental health. So we have been accorded the privilege of be inviting them in this session today. Aside from the Miss Bing Espiritu, who is in most of our flyers, we also have we have also invited another speaker or someone who will open the session, who is an advocate of mental health. He has been popular lately because of his advocacy on mental health. So Dr. Nemuel Pahutagana is currently the chairman of the Medical Action Group, a health service organization of physicians, psychologists, health students, and health workers for the promotion and defense of health and human rights. At the same time, he is both a physician and academician. He is, aside from being the chairman of the Medical Action Group, he is also a Professor 9 of the University of the Philippines, the National Teacher Training Center for Health Professionals at the University of the Philippines. He is also the immediate past dean of the Training Center for Health Professionals of UP Manila. Dr. Nemol has the founding and former director of UP Interactive Learning Center. He has facilitated various trainings and workshops sponsored by international organizations like the World Health Organization and various medical specialty organizations. He is also a duly appointed member of the um, a facility and oversight board handling complaints on the violation of Republic Act 10932 or the Anti-Hospital Deposit Law. And that's the reason why he is also very famous. So without further ado, let us all please give a virtual round of applause to Dr. Nemwal Fahotagana.
Thank you. Can you put me on spotlight, please? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, and good afternoon, Carol. Thank you for inviting me here. And it's a big opportunity for us, for our organization, to basically promote our advocacy. Not because it's COVID, but basically because even before COVID, mental health problem is already a big concern in the health sector. So my presentation is about mental health as a human right. So let me start by saying that when we talk about mental health, we talk about the core aspects of rights-based approach to health. And that would mean being able to look at the goal, the process, and the outcomes that we would like in relation to not only health in general, but also mental health in particular. And that would mean, if you look into the right to health, we talk about, again, the goal, outcomes, and process. And that would mean for goal, for example, the realization of right to health and other health-related human rights. And for this afternoon, we're specifically focused on mental health as a right. But this particular, our goal of achieving mental health to all, and that all will have access to it, will depend on how well we are able to achieve the outcomes. And the outcomes would mean the outcomes in relation to how the two groups would perform, and that would mean the duty bearers, and of course us, the right holders, yung nagdi-demand ng service or nagdi-demand ng right na yan, and the processes that would be involved, which is basically guided by standards of human rights. You may be wondering why it's included as part of our discussion, but you know that since our corporations or our work is basically a health facility in a way, ensuring that health and well-being of workers and everyone else in that corporation or in that basically small or big office is being addressed or are being addressed. Of course, when we talk of goal, it's very basic that while we're addressing mental health, because we look at mental health as not just a state of complete physical, but it will have to be a complete, by the way, it's not just a state of health, but rather a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So pag sinabi natin tayo ay healthy, hindi lang ito wala kang sakit. Kaya nga even in COVID, we're talking of two categories. COVID are those who are infected and those who are affected. Pwedeng wala kang COVID, pero ikaw ay affected. Nevertheless, because of the environment, the toxic environment probably you're in relation to COVID. So that's where we're starting at, and that's not only in that context. No, we're also looking into the context of the Sustainable Development Goals, and specifically we focus on number 3, which addresses prevention and treatment and promotes mental health and well-being, and of course the prevention and treatment of substance abuse, including narcotic drug abuse and the harmful use of alcohol, and of course kasama na rin dito, target 3.8 ay hindi natin nilalaro yung financial risk protection and quality essential care. It's been, if you will not address the other economic issues or social issues related to health, then it will also impact on the overall health status of our people. And that also would include people and workers within the corporate world or even in any working environment. Let us just go back a little bit and have a bigger picture of what mental health is globally, or how is it globally. And according to the UN, mental health will affect 1 or 4 people throughout their lifetime. Probably you have a better idea of how it is in the Philippines, since you're all working in the context of this one. Globally, mental health does not enjoy parity with physical health in terms of budgeting or medical education and practice. Mayaman o mahirap na bansa, lalo tayo dito sa mahirap na bansa, our mental health issues, big as it is not being afforded the same, what do you call it, amount of resources that otherwise should be being given, that are being given to the clinical side of the health issues that we are dealing with. And of course, it deals also with a very strong stigma. Kaya nga minsan, isa sa mga deterrent natin for our workers, for our people, and for even our professionals, deterrent for accessing healthcare or mental health care services is because of the stigma that comes with it. Kaya minsan we are to sometimes have to create spaces in our workplace where going for a mental or a counseling, for example, will not be obvious. So to avoid that kind of stigmatization that might happen if you are seen going or entering the door of a psychiatrist, a counselor, or any other involved in counseling. Also, 2/3 of persons with mental health condition will not seek treatment, I was saying earlier, because of the stigmatization. But we have to also remember that poor mental health is a predisposing factor for physical health problems. Ibig sabihin, if you are suffering from mental health, there will be a bigger chance or greater chance of you also experiencing severe or additional physical health problems. Kasi nangyayari dyan, if you are stressed, if you have some mental problems, probably your nutrition intake will suffer. You'll probably resort to use of alcohol. You go into states of sleeplessness, for example, and so many other situations that would eventually result to some physical health problems. And even to the point that persons with mental health conditions have a much reduced life expectancy compared with the general population. And it's being, sabi nga ng United Nations, there's an estimated drop in life expectancy of 20 years for men and 50 years for women. And that would mean also for all of us professionals working in a toxic workplace, for example. So that's why it's important for us to really deal with it. And if just to look at it in the CDC report, for example, on the workplace, they are saying that, for example, and you all know this, that's why you're addressing this, that's why the group of Carol and is addressing this or making it a priority in this particular season of lectures, because we know that poor mental health and stress can negatively affect employees. It can affect job performance and productivity, engagement with one's work, communication with coworkers, physical capability and daily functioning. And also, mental illnesses such as depression can actually reduce or interfere with person's ability to complete some of the physical tasks by almost 20%. Can you imagine its impact on productivity? Only 50% of employees who report moderate depression and 40% of those who report severe depression receive treatment. So dito nakikita na natin yung kakulangan ng access, and therefore it's already a problem related to right to access to mental health services. So sabi nga natin kanina, to be able to reverse those issues, make them our goal as people, as workers, and all others involved in mental health or advocating for mental health. For this to happen, we need to produce outcomes in the context of those who are duty bearers and the right holders. And for the duty bearers, that would mean the state, the employers, and the providers of care. So ibig sabihin, tayo halimbawa ng mga may training and are basically able to provide services are also duty bearers. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang po state, hindi lang yung opisina, hindi lang yung manager ng office ang merong duty. All of us with that kind of capability and given that opportunity to practice are duty bound to meet our obligations or to provide our services to people who need our services. And in the context of state, that would mean basically converting major concerns or address these concerns with policy guidelines like Republic Act number 11036 that talks about the National Mental Health Policy, and even Department of Labor mandating mental health program in the workplace. So ito yung duty bearers, the state providing that kind of mandate to make sure that mental health issues or concerns are being addressed at the workplace. And in terms of employers, that would mean we should be promoting as part of our obligation or as part of your obligation to promote awareness about the importance of mental health and stress management in your respective offices. Because mental health promotion will only be successful when they are combined with mental health and physical health intervention. Hindi ibig sabihin, hindi naman pwedeng puro mental health awareness ka lang na wala ka rin naman binibigay na direct health services. It will have to be a more comprehensive approach to provision of service. Kasi nga, health is not just physical, but it's a mental. On all that, you can also do it the reverse. But the workplace is why is it important that we do it in a workplace? Because compared to other systems, for example, like communities or just a household, our workplaces are already have the necessary system for ensuring mental health. Like we have a good communication. You have a good communication structure. You have policies and programs. You have social support networks. You have employers that can provide incentives. And of course, employers can use data to track progress and measure the effects. Compared, sabi nga natin, sa COVID nga lang, hindi na natin natatrack yung progress ng people in the communities. But hopefully that is not the same in the corporate world. You're able to track the status of your workers and hopefully even the services and the effect of services to their, for example, mental health. So if these are all be given and basically will be made available to the right holders, then the employers will be able to claim their rights to health. Ibig sabihin, kasi yung karapatan po yan ay dinikta ng ating international na mga universal declarations ng human rights and even our own governmental declarations. So therefore, we all have the right to claim for the mental health. So basically, for example, let's say as an employee, you may want to look into or demand, for example, that mental health assessment tools will be available to all employees. Kanina may mention si Carol, but I don't know. These are all competency materials, I guess, but I don't know. They include self-assessment tools for mental health. And there are other opportunities like subsidized clinical screening for depression, mental health, health insurance, free or subsidized lifestyle coaching, counseling, materials basically for mental health. These are all things that hopefully we will be able to demand as recipients, and of course we can demand from our duty bearers, and that would include all the rest like mga seminars, creation, maintenance of dedicated spaces. So sana nga madali natin nahihingi. Pero but basically being part of that particular as part of our rights, we can actually demand them. Pero hindi naman pwedeng demand ka ng demand at ikaw mismo you're not creating your own safe space for mental health. But to be able to implement all of this, we need to basically do it in the context of what we call human right to health-based approach, and that would mean several requirements. That to be able to implement your mental health services or rights, access to mental health services in your offices or corporation, then you have to ensure that people or staff or anybody, all the stakeholders are involved or participant to the development process, and that there will be accountability both for the government, for the doctor, for your office in relation to the provisions of the services. And that these services are not discriminatory. Hindi pwedeng yung pang-manager lang. Wala si janitor, wala yung ibang low-level employees of the workplace. Dapat lahat ng empleyado will have to have same access to the care that are also given to other sectors or to the other level employees. And there will have to be transparency in the way decisions are being made. And of course, it will have to be related to ensuring human dignity. Lalong-lalo na dito sa status natin ng mental cases, na sa mental stress natin. And minsan, sabi nga, stigmatized na, and therefore, it's important for us to support and to make sure that that human dignity is being preserved and observed. And that the whole system that we're doing is empowering by itself, that we're empowering people, and that would mean providing them with enough information related to this, to mental health as an issue, and ensuring that all of this are according to the rule of law, and that would mean following our recently promulgated National Mental Health Law, and of course Department of Labor guidelines on mental health services and provisions of promotion of mental health services in the workplace. And that we call that in the language of health and human rights as the Panther approach to addressing health and human rights, including right to mental health. And the two key message actually would be that there is no health without mental health, and it's important. And napakalaki yung ating responsibilidad dito. And good mental health means much more than the absence of mental impairment. And just to highlight some points, that when we talk about services in mental health, that we need to still make sure that our services follows the normative rights, meaning that services will have to be available, accessible, acceptable, and of course, of good quality. Hindi naman pwedeng para lang magkaroon ka ng mental health service, just to say na your organization is offering such kind of service. Let me just focus on quality, for example, and highlight this particular statistics, Philippine statistics on human resource, at nakikita natin ang ating psychologist is only 0.1% per 100,000 population. I don't know the percentage in terms of the corporate ratio, but the thing is, ganito kalayo yung ating ratio, and really problematic in terms of addressing the mental health problems of the general population. Ngayon nga may crisis tayo, we're trying to support calls for training towards what we call psychological first aid. Pero mabagal pa rin yun, and we may not be able to train enough people to address our limitations in terms of human rights. And lastly, there are clinical and economic reasons as well as moral and legal obligations for us to advance mental health as fundamental rights to health, because every human has the right, and that would mean right to health and right to mental health. And we close with this quotation from Eleanor Roosevelt, who said that, "Where after all do universal rights begin? In small places, close to home, so close and so small that they cannot be seen on any map of the world. Such are places where every man, woman, and child seeks equal justice, equal opportunity, equal dignity without discrimination. Unless these rights have meaning, they will have little meaning anywhere. So without concerted citizen action to uphold them close to home, we shall look in vain for progress in the larger world." So therefore, it is not just our offices, our corporate world is a major place to start and to implement and advocate for health, human rights, and especially right to mental health service. Magandang hapon, and thank you to everyone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nemuel. So that is really an eye-opener for every one of us. So totoo, no, as an organization or even as individuals, we cannot just depend on others fully to support the mental health of our employees for an organization and to support our own mental health. So thank you very much for that. And that is also the reason why the second part of the session today, we have invited another Wait, let me share my screen. There. So I've invited another lady who will help us take care of our own mental health. Sabi nga, we cannot give what we don't have. So we cannot help others manage their own stress if we cannot manage our own stress. So our consultant for this afternoon is Bing Espiritu or Fabiola Espiritu, is a lady with professional training. Her expertise is in counseling. She also conducts several training programs, both for organizations. You can see my slide. Okay, wait, huh?
Not yet, Ms. Carol.
Not yet? Okay, wait, huh?
There, we can see it.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
All right. So our guest speaker or our facilitator or our consultant for this afternoon is a lady with relevant professional training, not just in psychology, but also teaching as well as counseling. She's also a registered guidance counselor. So she has conducted several individual sessions as well as organization sessions on counseling. She does individual as well as group counseling for students, teachers, and professionals like us. She has also supported a lot of organizations in their emotional as well as their spiritual needs. So to share this afternoon, Miss Bing Espiritu is going to share with us some practical tips on how we can better manage our own stress. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Miss Bing Espiritu.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me just share my screen. Okay, can you see the screen now? Yeah. Okay, Nathan?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome to our webinar this afternoon, this morning for the others now. And it's entitled, It's Okay to Not Be Okay. No? Because the reality is, as Dr. Nemwell said, no, many of us, we grapple with mental health issues, especially with stress every day. In fact, my first slide for this afternoon is this one, no? Which states that stress is a reality of life. Everybody, as in everybody, experiences it. In fact, I'm sure that you'll agree with me that this morning, the minute you woke up, there was already something that you had to decide on. Am I going to work physically today, or am I supposed to work from home? Will I eat breakfast just before I work, or will I just forgo it? How about the kids? Are they already ready for online classes? How about the food for today? How about the expenses, for example? What shall I wear today? All of these things, which usually are so ordinary tasks, can actually be sources of stress. So every day, every one of us is experiencing stress. But the nice thing about this is, even if there is stress all around us, we can choose how to deal and live with stress. In fact, we all have a choice. So it's really up to us if we want to deal with it, how we will deal with it, if we want to deal with it effectively, and how we can deal with it effectively. Okay, so just before we go on, I'd like to share with you one material that I was able to go over, and it says, I don't think anyone really understands how tiring it is to act okay and always be strong when in reality you're close to the edge. Sigurado ako, all of us here will say, yes, I've been there one time or another. And maybe some of us are even there right now at this moment. You are going through it. So what on earth is this stress all about? I mean, what is this animal called stress? No, what is it? Who is it? What is the face of this concept or experience that we are having? No, so stress from the psychiatrists and the psychologists and members, no, of an organization. But before that, no, the Medline Medical Encyclopedia says that stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension. It can come from any event or even the thought that makes you feel frustrated, angry, or nervous. Now, as I was saying earlier, no, there are some organizations, and one of them is the My Cleveland Clinic. No? And the members there say that stress is a normal physical mental response when you experience changes or challenges, which are also called stressors. So, if that's the case, then what are the types of stress? Now, I know you'll say, huh? Meron pa bang mga types of stress? I thought that, the stress that I'm going through right now is the only stress that's real or that's available. But actually, there are two types of stress. The first one is the not so popular one, which is the positive stress. It's also called the eustress. What is the eustress? For example, if you have an important test coming up, or a performance, for example, or a report or a presentation that you have to make, no? Stress response might help your body work harder to make you stay awake longer. Case in point, I'm right now staying in my mom's house here in Quezon City. I've been here since September 1 when we had an emergency. She was rushed to the hospital because she had pneumonia and she was having difficulty breathing. Okay. But after that, I had to stay on because on September 12th, my youngest sister, who lives here also taking care of my mom, tested positive for COVID. So you can just imagine, whoa, no? The change in schedule, the additional tasks that we have to do. No, my sister couldn't take care of my mom anymore, so it's me and the house help. So in that case, the positive stress there is that my body was able to, signal. My brain was able to signal to my body that, hey, you cannot just go to sleep and then sleep all the way through. No, you have to wake up at 12 o'clock to change mama's diaper. So that became a routine for me. So in that case, the stress that I went through was a positive stress. Why? Because it made my body work harder. It made me stay awake longer. I was able to go through the changes in the schedules. Also, stress can be positive, keeping us alert, motivated, and ready to avoid danger, like in emergencies, for example. Now, the second one is what we are more familiar with. This is what we say, stressed talaga ako. Oh my gosh, I'm so stressed. No, I'm so stressed. This is the negative stress, or what we call the distress. What is it? It is the condition when stress continues without relief or periods of relaxation. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're saying here is when we are stressed, we need to have periods where we feel that we can relax. We feel that we are not stressed. Otherwise, if a person has long-term or chronic stress, continuous activation of the stress response causes wear and tear on the body. And this is what Dr. was saying earlier, that when we are dealing with mental stress, for example, or mental health conditions long term, then that's when physical, emotional, and behavioral symptoms develop. That's when the physical ailments come in. Okay, so for our first question, no? For our first question, how does stress look like? No? So let's have a poll. All right, let's have a survey. From the list that we are going to show you, please choose 5 manifestations of stress in a person. The question to answer is, what are some of the telltale signs that show you that you yourself are stressed? All right, so I'll give you 3 minutes to do this. You can start answering right now. Wow. Oh, okay. This is so exciting. Wow. Oh, wow. a lot of you have trouble sleeping. And yet, a lot of you are tired. You feel very tired physically, and yet you cannot go to sleep. You cannot fall asleep. Why? Because your mind is going overdrive. It's going maximum overdrive. Also, a lot of you are experiencing dizziness, shaking, shaking of the hands, for example, or headaches. Yeah, especially the aches at the back of the neck. There. Of course, most of you are experiencing anxiety. No? There. Okay. There's also chest pain. Yes, or a feeling that your heart is racing. So our top answers, top three answers are anxiety, exhaustion or difficulty sleeping, and headaches, dizziness, or shaking. Yeah. Of course, we have high blood pressure, we have muscle tension or jaw clenching. We also have aches. No? So moving on. There. So moving on. Sorry. Stop sharing. Okay. So our top three answers are anxiety, exhaustion or trouble sleeping, and headaches, dizziness or shaking. Is there anyone else who's still answering, or are we done?
I think we're done, Bing.
I think we're done, no?
Yeah.
So there, no? So those are the three top signs. But what is our literature showing us? Okay. For the physical symptoms, of course, aches and pains are there. The chest pain, no, or feeling like your heart is racing, your palpitations, no, and then because your heart is racing, there's a feeling that it's like that your chest is going to explode or your ribs are going to crack or something. But there's a difficulty in breathing, exhaustion or difficulty sleeping. As I said earlier, your body is so tired. No, you just want to rest. You want to rest your back on anything that it can rest itself against. But then when you do that, why is it that I cannot go to sleep? I cannot fall asleep. No, there. Also headaches, dizziness, and shaking, high blood pressure, and we have muscle tension or jaw clenching, no? Stomach or digestive problems. No? Some of us have tummy aches, or some of us begin to have loose bowel movement. On the other hand, some of us have or experience constipation when we are stressed. Some of us have trouble having sex. And most of us have weak immune system. That's what Dr. Nemel was saying, no? That when we are not well, when we are not mentally healthy, our immune system, our physical immune system becomes weak. That's why we become physically sick also. Okay? How about emotional symptoms? Anxiety, fear, or worry stops. I don't know what's going to happen to me. What will happen to me from here on? Will I be able to get this thing going? Will I still be alive tomorrow? Especially when the pandemic started last year. One of the two of the main questions that I used to hear from my counselees were, will I still be able to go through this? I mean, what happens if I get it? Will I die already? Because we didn't know anything about COVID at that time. Not like now that it's part of our new normal, as we say. And we also worry. We worry about our loved ones. We worry about our finances. We worry about our jobs. Many of us have lost their jobs. So there's that anxiety and fear. Also, excuse me. Also, when this anxiety and fear and worry are not addressed or are not dealt with effectively, then they can become panic attacks. The panic attacks come in the form of the feeling that there's nothing I can control anymore. I can't control anything anymore. I don't know what to do anymore. I can't do anything anymore. I don't have a choice anymore. All I want to do is cry. All I want to do is just, uh, stay in one corner and just let things happen. And I can't do anything about it. Okay. Also, some of us, if we are not afraid, others become irritable or angry, easily angry, easily angered, madaling magalit, madaling mairita, no? Or we easily fly off the handle, as they say. Also, some of us, many of us actually, experience sadness or deep sadness, which is otherwise called as melancholy. And if these conditions are not addressed early on or effectively, they can graduate into depression. Depression, the state we're in, the person just feels so hopeless and so helpless, and there's no hope anymore for me. Everything is just so dark, so black. There's nothing that I can do. So woe is me. Kawawa naman ako. No? It's everybody else's fault. That's why I'm in this situation. So what can I do? I will just want to go to sleep and not wake up anymore. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong, okay? Don't get me wrong. We all deal with stress. We are able to deal with stress. It's just that many of us have unhealthy stress management strategies. As Dr. Neman was sharing a while ago, there are some of us, some of the things that we do are these, drinking too much or too often, gambling, overeating or developing an eating disorder. Some of us are stress eaters. We participate compulsively in sex or shopping or internet browsing. There's this joke among my friends, when it comes to shopping. Before the pandemic, it's shop till you drop. But then now that it's pandemic and we have Shopee, Lazada, and all the other shopping platforms, it's shop till the phone drops, until you just fall asleep because you're just too tired shopping on the internet. And of course, participating compulsively in internet browsing, too much. Basically, what we're saying here is too much of anything, even as a stress management strategy, is not good. Okay? Of course, we are familiar with smoking and also using drugs. So what are we saying here? What are we saying here? Instead of all of these, instead of any or all of these, let's try some other ways of dealing with stress or thriving amidst our everyday stress. And let me just share with you some useful habits that we can develop in order to thrive amidst our stress. Okay? First is understand our stress. Second, more gratitude and less attitude. And then the third one is an acronym called BREADS. Okay? So the first one is we try to understand our stress. And with this, let's have an exercise. Okay? On the screen is called your stress bucket. So everybody has a stress bucket, and there are 10 balls around and inside the bucket. Now, what I want you to do is go to. I shared with you a link. It's Mentimeter, and there's also a QR code. These things are shared also in our live stream, so you can join the survey. Okay, so what are we going to answer from the list? From the list, I want you to choose. Okay, I want you to choose your stressors, especially the stressors that you have right now or lately or at present. Okay, now which ones will you put inside the bucket? If you have a bucket, which ones will you put inside the bucket? And which ones will you allow or leave outside of the bucket? Okay? So there. So I'll give you 3 minutes, so you can answer now, and then we'll have a discussion later. Yeah. So just answer the question, what are the main causes of your stress? Thank you, Aaron, for that. Love life. Totoo naman, nakaka-stress talaga ang love life, no? Wow, we have a lot of answers. 70, 72 participants already submitted their answers. 74. Wow, thank you very much. That's true. Anna May. Yes. Thank you very much. That's true. Thank you, Jed. And ending lockdowns. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you make plans and then because of the lockdowns, just have to shelve them. Okay. All right. Okay. So, Jonathan, do I share screen again?
Yes, bro. Wait.
Okay. So, Jonathan, do we have a rundown of our answers? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, from the list that you made, you know, which ones do you think will you put inside the bucket? Okay, whatever you put inside the bucket, okay, you just try to see if you draw, no, you draw a bucket, no, wherever you are, and then try to put your stresses inside the bucket. But you have to choose which ones you put inside the bucket. Okay, so 5 only. Put 5 stresses or stressors inside the bucket. The rest you leave outside. Okay? Yeah. Oy, si Mary Tiffany? Maribay? Thank you. Di makauwi ng province. Oo, totoo yan. No? But where would you put that? Inside the bucket or outside the bucket? Okay? Yan. Okay. Whatever your answers are, ladies and gentlemen, there's no right or wrong answer. In fact, everything is right. Okay? But there's an interpretation to what we are to what you have just done. Okay? In Japan, there is a concept called cocology. No? It has nothing to do with manicure and pedicure, okay? Walang kuko dito. But cocology is a concept that says that the first thing that comes to your mind, especially when you're answering a question or you're describing something, no, in answer to a question, is actually a reflection of what you are or who you are or what you are going through at the moment. So, in the same breath or in the same vein, if you have chosen 5 or whatever you chose and placed inside your stress bucket, these are your stressors which you can actually do something about. Okay? You can do something about them. For example, if somebody says, if some of you say, payment of bills, yes, mahirap siya, pero may magagawa kang paraan para mahigitan mo siya so that you can go through that or go over that stressor. And one of them is you really need to set aside certain amount of money because you know very well that you have bills to pay at the end of the month or in the middle of the month. I have to pay my house help. So I need to set aside money already for that. No? So at the end of the month, I should not have that as my stressor because I should have done already something. So I can do something about it. Okay. Now, what about what about the stressors that I left outside of the bucket? Okay, these stressors are the ones that you cannot do anything about as of now. Okay, even if you want to address these issues right now, the thing is you're not able to do it because it's not in your control. It's not in your locus of control to do anything about it yet. For example, right now I am dealing with cleaning, quote unquote, cleaning the titles of the properties of my in-laws' properties where my house is located. No, so I have 2 houses right now: my own house and my in-laws' house. So we're trying to do everything so that the titles will be transferred from my in-laws, my parents-in-law, to my husband's name. But the thing is, there are certain things that I cannot do because I am not the blood relative. It's my husband, so I cannot do anything. So with that, even if I want to do something about it, I just really need to set that aside because it's something I cannot do anything about. Even if I rant and rave about it, I cannot do anything about it. So I need to just set it aside for a while. I'm not saying just let it go. I'm just saying I just let it sit for a while and go to or deal with other things that I can control. I have more control over. Okay, so that's the stress bucket. We're doing this because I want you to remember that not all stresses are things that you can control. So you need to be able to identify which ones I can control, I can do something about, and which ones I cannot. And I just have to set aside for a while. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So what we're saying here, in the stress bucket is we focus more on what we can control and less on what we cannot control. For example, when you go to the, for example, very, very simple example. When you go to the malls, for example, we are required to wear the face mask and the face shield. Instead of ranting and raving, bakit ba ganito ang rule dito? But the thing is, that's the rule there. So what we can do is whether we decide whether or not to enter the mall wearing all of these things, or okay, thank you, I won't enter anymore. So we can do something about that. But the malls policy on wearing the mask and the shield, we cannot do anything about that. No? So let's focus more on what we can control and less on what we cannot. Second, let's have more gratitude and less attitude. Okay, I am sharing with you, a line from Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar is a very, very well-known author, and he's also a management guru. He's also a go-to person when it comes to leadership and motivating people. No, and he says the greatest source of happiness is the ability to be grateful at all times. No, in fact, there is there's a picture that we usually see, the glass, is the glass half filled or is the glass half empty? Whatever the answer is, it's correct, no? Because it's really according, to somebody or to the person's point of view. But people who will see the glass as half filled, are usually the people who are more attuned to being grateful, even for the little things that happen to them. And I'd like to share with you that there are certain surveys and studies that say that there is a correct, rather not correct, direct link between a person's attitude of being grateful on one hand and his ability to be able to hurdle stresses and stressors in his life. So see, if this is higher or this is high, you have a high tendency to be thankful, to be grateful, to smile at things happening with you and to you, then somehow you have a higher ability or stronger ability also to be able to get back on track when you are stressed. So our next activity is my gratitude list. So let's have a poll again. Okay, from the list, please choose 5 things that you are grateful for. The question is, what are you thankful for right now? Okay, so we will share with you, some of the things that we have already taken, from some other people who went through this. There. Wow. Yes. Wow. So see from our question, from the answers, a lot, most of you are thankful for your families. Thank God. Wow. And of course, even if you are working from home, even if you have a lot of work to do because your company has downsized already, and so yung mga naiwan na trabaho, ng iba, the work that was left behind, by those who left the office already, has been distributed to all of you who have been left behind. So you have more work right now, and still you are grateful that you still have a job. I remember my sister saying, Ate, wow, my work today is so, it was a very hectic day. We had 5 meetings. Imagine, I left my cubicle at 1:30 for a meeting. I came back at 2:30. Imagine the paper that I had to, deal with after 1 hour. My goodness. And then I said, but at the end of the day, and then she said, yes, at the end of the day, I'm still thankful I still have a job. So there. And of course, health. When you are not experiencing any of the COVID symptoms, wow, it's something to be thankful for. Nakakapraning kasi ngayon, you just have itchy throat. Oh, do I have it already? And it really stresses people. And of course, we have friends and colleagues. Why? Because we go to them for support. We go to them, telling them about our woes, our travails, and somehow it helps us cope with our situation. Okay, so there. And of course, we have our relationships and spiritual growth. No, spiritual growth is very, very important. No, and we see that there are many people who are thankful for their spiritual growth. And then relationships. No? So there's family, there's work, there's health, friends and colleagues, and spiritual growth and relationships. Yeah, thank you very much for that. No? So it's not like there's nothing to be thankful for, especially nowadays. There are a lot to be thankful for. No? There are a lot of people, a lot of things, a lot of events, a lot of objects, a lot of lessons that we can be thankful for. All right? So there. Okay. Now, moving on, let me share with you the breads. Breads. Of course, bread is a staple, no, for some of us. You know? But breads here is an acronym. No? And what is the acronym for? D, you breathe. Practice deep breathing. No, use the butterfly tap. I'll show you now in a little while. Okay. So practice deep breathing. The deep breathing here is not just no. It's actually a conscious effort to breathe in through your nose and then breathe out through your mouth. Okay. Now, for this exercise, I'd like everyone to please unmute yourselves. Sorry, pero you need to unmute yourselves because I want to hear the sound. What I want you to do is I'm going to lead you into the exercise. When I say inhale, you breathe in through your nose as much as you can. Okay, as much air as you can. And then I'll say stay. So you just stop and then breathe out. You breathe out. You let the air out of your mouth slowly. And please make the sound, the S sound. Okay, as slowly as you can. Okay, and I'll breathe with you. So is everybody unmuted already?
Yes.
Okay, so let's practice. Breathe. Okay, inhale, everyone. Okay, stay, breathe out. Very good. Ang hirap, di ba? That's because you're not so used to it. That's why you need to practice deep breathing. No? Why? Because when you do deep breathing, it relaxes many of the muscles. It relaxes your tummy, it relaxes your diaphragm, it relaxes your chest, no? But at first, of course, it's very, very difficult. So let's do it again. Ready? Inhale.
Oo nga, teka.
Exhale.
Bukas na lang, Michael. Iutang pa ako sa kanya.
Very good. Now we'll do it faster. Inhale, exhale. Again, inhale, exhale. Now this time, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to exhale doing this. Okay? Okay, ready? Inhale. Exhale.
That's such a relief.
Okay? Yeah, it's such a relief. Okay? If you want
Such a
to
relief.
shout, sige lang. Okay, ready? Go. Inhale. Exhale. Very good. Inhale. Exhale. That's so sexy. Okay, one more time. One last time. Inhale. Exhale. Very good. Now, use the butterfly tap. Some people have a hard time breathing on their own. You know, I need to do deep breathing. Is that deep breathing? No, but I can't do it there. So what you do is you help yourself by tapping using your hands. The butterfly tap is basically this. This is butterfly. But of course, you don't want people to say, "What are you doing?" So what we will do is we'll just put our both of our hands on our chest. Okay? Jonathan, paki-highlight mo na lang ako, ha? There. And then
Spotlight.
you tap. Oh, spotlight. Sorry, highlight. Spotlight. Okay? And then you tap. No, you tap. No, with the speed according to your breath or to your palpitation. So at first it can be very fast, no? So it's really very fast, but you need to consciously decide to slow down. Okay? Until such time that you're using only one hand to tap your chest. Okay? Until such time that your tapping is attuned or in tune with your breathing. See? Until such time that you're not tapping anymore, but just caressing your chest. Okay? Can you do that with me? Okay? Both hands, let's tap fast. Okay? Kahit na hindi kayo stressed ngayon, just to practice. And then, consciously slow down in your tapping. And then, take off one hand and let the other hand stay. And consciously breathe according to your tapping. Until such time that you are just caressing your chest. Okay? Does it make sense? Huh? Okay, thank you very much. Now, everyone, you can mute yourselves again. Thank you very much. Okay. R in breaths is standing for recalibrate your thinking. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is not about us all the time. It's not about you all the time. Okay? So before we become stressed, before we give into our anger, before we give into our anxiety and our worry, think first, is it really something to be worried about? Is it really something that I cannot do anything about? Or is it something that's just for now? Just for now. And I shared with you PEA, P. What does that mean? It stands for P, thinking. Our thinking affects our emotions. E, our emotions affect our attitude. And A, our attitude affects our actions. So when we recalibrate our thinking, chances are we will not react or we will not act in such a way that we might not be able to make things better. We might make things even worse because we are giving in to our emotions right away. Okay? So recalibrate your thinking. E, of course, exercise. Sorry guys, but yeah, you need to move. Especially those who are working from home, you need to move. Okay? There's a 2020 principle, 20 minutes into your looking at the at your computer, your desktop. After 20 minutes, you need to look at something that's 20 feet away from you. Why? And green. Kung pwede sana green, Why? Because it relaxes your eyes. Our eye experts will say that when you concentrate too much on the screen of your desktop or your laptop, your eyes become very, very tired. So you need to do that. And of course, physically get up from where you are. Just take a walk. It is good for your body and it increases your happy hormones. So it changes your mood. It improves your mood. No? Also, when you exercise, of course, you sweat. No? So, ang sarap ng pakiramdam pag nagsisweat. Bakit? Because somehow, the toxins in your body, they come out. They come out. And also, our sleep experts tell us that for us to be able to sleep well at night, we need to go and have sun exposure. So exercise and sun exposure, they go together. No? There. What else? A. There are two A's actually here. No? The first one is affirm yourself for what you are able to accomplish and celebrate little successes. Okay? Don't wait for the big ones. Don't wait for the earth-shaking accomplishments. No. You're able to drink 2 liters of water every day. That's good. Pat yourself on the back. Celebrate little successes. Of course, let's also look for activities that are meaningful for us. When the lockdown, the lockdown started last year, a lot of us became plantitos, plantitas. Many went into carpentry. Me, I started decluttering my house. I'm not much for cooking and baking, but I love arts and crafts. In fact, while I'm here, of course, that face masks come in boxes, right? See what I did? These came from the boxes of face masks. What I did was while I'm here, taking care of my mom, I just used my my decorative scissors and made gift tags out of them, which I'm going to give away in December. So there, it makes me happy. I know it's such a simple thing. Exactly, simple things, but they are meaningful for you. They make you happy. Go for them. Go for those activities. Okay. D, please do not bottle it up. Don't go solo. If you feel that you have something inside you that is not right, consider talking about it with someone that you trust. Okay? It can be a guidance counselor, it can be a friend of yours, it can be your neighbor, it can be your family member, whoever it is, as long as this person is someone that you can trust, someone who is mentally and spiritually mature for you. Okay? And letter S is something that has already become an important part of our daily routine, especially in this pandemic. I always say this to my counselees: seek silence or pockets of quiet time during the day. Why? Because it is important for us to be mindful of what is happening around us, mindful of what is happening inside us. Okay? So there. So what have we done so far? We have talked about stress, which we cannot avoid. So we cannot avoid stress, but we can stop it from becoming overwhelming for us by practicing some daily strategies. And what did we talk about? First, that we understand where our stress is coming from. And when we are able to understand where stress is coming from, then we can focus more on what we can control and less on what we cannot control. Second, let's be grateful, because there are so many things that we can be grateful and thankful for. Okay? And the third one, the deep breathing and the using of the butterfly tap. Okay? And of course, let's recalibrate our thinking. And remember that our thinking affects our emotions. Our emotions affect our attitude, and our attitude affects our actions. We also want to exercise. We need to exercise, and sun exposure also, especially in the morning. We affirm ourselves even for the little successes that we have. Of course, it's not saying that we don't look at what we were not able to accomplish. Of course, we still need to do that. But let's also, feel good about the little successes that we were able to do for the day. We also try to look for activities that are meaningful for us and activities that make us happy, no matter how simple or mundane they are. And let's not bottle it up. Let's, if we are comfortable talking about it with someone, let's look for somebody that we trust. And the last one, we seek silent moments during our day and be mindful of what is happening around us and what is happening inside us. Okay, so there. And as a parting shot, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to remind everybody that self-care, especially during this time of the pandemic, is both a human right and a personal responsibility. And with that, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Thank you very much for joining, and please stay safe and God bless us all.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank
Yeah.
you to Carol.
Yes, if you have questions, you can still type in your questions if you have questions for Bing. I know that these are all practical tips that are being shared with us. Pero baka may question pa sila.
Oo.
Mm.
Oo. Thank you for the
Yeah.
clap. Salamat,
Yeah.
Laika. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Dina. Thank you. Mary
Alright.
Tiffany.
Okay, so I guess there are no
Thank you.
questions anymore. So may I call on Det, our managing director, Det Arguego.
Yes, thank you, Carol. Can you all hear me now and see me? Okay. So, on behalf of Assessment Analytics, well, first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Nemwel Fahutagana for opening the session and for sharing with us your advocacy on mental health and human rights. So, all of us indeed have a duty to make sure that mental health issues are addressed in the workplace. Although, of course, the state or the government has a duty, we also have a duty to our employees. But we as individuals also have a duty to ourselves. So, as much as self care is a right, it also is a personal responsibility. And of course, we would like to thank our main facilitator today, Ms. Bing Espiritu, for not just sharing with us your time, Bing, but also sharing with us your valuable tips on how to manage stress, and also for sharing with us your personal stories. As you said, stress is indeed a reality of life. We cannot escape it, but we can manage it. We all have a choice on how we will deal with it, and it is even our choice if we will even deal with it in the first place. But we also know that if we want to help others, we have to also take care of ourselves and make sure we are able to deal with our stress so that we can also be healthy enough to take care of others. Thank you for sharing with us very useful and practical tips on how we can identify our stressors and how we can correctly and healthily manage our stress. So, ano, diba, bread. And how we can also focus on what we can control. Thank you also for reminding us of the value of gratitude and how it can have a direct correlation to our ability to manage our stress. Of course, I would also like to thank all of you, our participants in this session, for sharing your time and for actively participating not just in the activities and in the polls, but also in the chat box. I hope that you found this past hour and a half very productive, and I also hope that you can join us in our future learning events. All right. So, once again, we'd like to thank all of you. And also, before you leave the call, may we request you to answer a short feedback survey, which you should now see flashed on your screens. So this will really help us in like finding out what else we can offer you. So thank you once again, and we wish all of you a great afternoon, and that you will now be able to manage your own stresses. So let's all give ourselves a pat on our chest to thank ourselves as well. Thank you.